Learning comes from asking quality questions. Change comes from asking quality questions. Success comes from learning and change when you ask quality questions. I am the facilitator of awesome. I facilitate and bring out the awesome in others when I work with leadership teams and boards of directors. And often I begin a session with a question storming exercise rather than a brainstorming exercise because questions open the mind, whereas answers close the mind. As a leader, asking questions is one of the most important skills that you can develop. When you begin your career, you get paid for being smart and getting things done. Unfortunately, many leaders don't realize that as they get promoted, they can advance with less stress and achieve more by getting things done through others, not in spite of them. Questions help your team members learn and grow, which is one of the most important responsibilities of a leader. I once worked with an executive who asked one of her team members to create a presentation for the board. She spent considerable time explaining the important elements of the presentation, what the data needed included, how to share it, and the key outcomes. When her team member sent the draft presentation, she was shocked. It did not deliver what she expected. She had spent so much time with that team member. What was his problem? She wanted to fix the whole thing and show him where he was wrong. Fortunately, we had a coaching session that day. Through our coaching conversation, she realized that she had two options. She could correct his work so it was done exactly the way she wanted. This would accelerate the result of a completed board presentation. However, she risked frustrating and demoralizing her team member and would take away his opportunity to learn and get better. So she opted to begin from a mindset of curiosity versus assumption, and she spent time asking questions. She put aside her frustration and made sure she was centered so she could be open and listen. In other words, she didn't barge into his office and start talking with a tense emotional current underlying the conversation. This approach takes more time in the short term, but it pays off in the long term. She prepared in advance, creating a list of quality questions. When they met, she asked process questions so she could understand how her team member interpreted her earlier guidance. For example, she asked him to walk her through his thinking process as he put the presentation together. What would a board member take away from this slide or that one? Where did this specific data appear in the presentation? She was careful to avoid using why, because that can feel accusatory and can create a brain hijack, which would prevent the learning and insights from emerging. The end result of asking more and telling less is that her team member was able to develop his thinking and presentation development skills. The next time he had a presentation to put together, he was prepared to do a great job and looked forward to giving it his best effort. Consider your ratio of asking versus telling. And if you need to be reminded to ask more, check out our leadership question cards. These are not just conversation cards. They were intentionally developed with you, the leader, in mind. Increase your leadership effectiveness with our Catalyst question cards and Bright On with Brighton Leadership.